back and make a non-judgmental. When I went to city and I was putting it together, that there's some type of phenomenon here that Martin Luther King happens to be where the more economically depressed areas are at. This is something I started to put together as a pattern as I go through and look city to city. And yeah, not until, I've been in the city for a minute, and I've always noticed there was no MLK. So I thought it made Kansas City special. I thought it meant there's something special that was going on here between the communities, the various communities that exist. Not until recently did I get into it, that what is this a statement of, especially for it to be at the time that it is now, where we have a president who everything is a photo op. Everything is a marketing part of what you would assume is his grand marketing scheme. So, at this time, what does that mean for Kansas City to make such a big, and what came to my mind immediately is, man, you got to think fundamentally when it's a federal thing, and I don't know if this is a federal move or a local move, this was a grassroots act, but to replace a local street with a nationally recognized figure, I mean, that's to say something. I don't have really a judgment that I don't want to read too much into it, other than I hope it was a grassroots move. From the research that I've put together, it was something that was grown from the council, from the community, something that was presented to local authorities or local decision makers. I think that's a good thing. So the people got to vote on it.
And do you really believe that it was something that, what was the thing, man, you said on the phone earlier this weekend? Is it something that was long overdue, or something that was just...
Yeah, I mean, is it a slap in the face?
Yeah.
I mean, is it a slap in the face? Is it coming from a place that, we want to find a situation where we create a less dignified experience? Or is it an honor? Is it an honor is the area conscious enough to say we have an opportunity to really pay homage to a great labor that was burdened by a human being, that we, so we give him his flowers, that could be the honor. So is it the honor, or is it a slap in the face that, hey, we found a humbling situation that we want to, that insiders can have an insider laugh, to those who are in the know can kind of have a spiteful moment. Those could be potentials.
And one of my things I think about is, of course, anytime him or we pay homage to any one of our civil rights leaders or activists is a great thing. But it always seems like, and no matter where we go, that these Malcolm X Boulevards, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevards are always relevant inside of the ghetto. These streets are through some of the most, what do I want to say? Least valued areas. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just like with me and my family, everybody from Texas, South Dallas and stuff like that, we got Malcolm X Boulevard and Martin Luther King, and it just seems like they're always in the most least valued or least productive places in the inner cities. And I'm thinking, like we had a meeting here a long, long time ago, is let's put it to where it would be reverent for so many people to travel up and down. Even White America would be able to acknowledge that they driving on it, and just something that you would see. But
so you're saying when you were going to Robert E. Lee Elementary, that there was it's fair if you went to Robert E. Lee Elementary knowing the role that he played and creating a community that was hostile for the so-called Black and enslaved at that time. He created a hostile environment. He was what could be perceived, if life and the preservation of life is the objective, he could be what is perceived as an enemy to life for so-called Blacks at that time and enslaved. But we were at Robert E. Lee eating lunch, walking past his plaque. So, what is being exercised here? So you're saying that Martin Luther King, in an area that is going to be heavily integrated, is going to be heavily traveled by all likes and walks, is only fair and shows true progression in America.
Well, because if you really go to look at what he was demonstrating and what he was pushing for, that was what he had a dream. His dream was going to be that every race, every creed, all of us would be able to stand up and be joined hand in hand in the brotherhood. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just the same with his birthday or his holiday.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a holiday, but I mean, I think I think when I go back to sit back and I look at George Bush, even going through Dallas, George Bush got his own Memorial Highway. And we both know that Bush wasn't near the man Martin Luther King was. You know what I mean? And it just seems like if you're going to pay homage to the individual, let's make sure that we pay homage to where everybody's going to benefit and have to pay homage and recognize what road or street they're on at the time when they're on there. Not just coming through the inner cities where the crime, the liquor stores, the drugs, and everything is. You know what I mean? But like I said, to start it off with, it is a plus anytime that those individuals are recognized, anyone that made a great step and cause for that. So even if anybody wants to call in tonight and give us their point on how it makes you feel that one of our great civil rights activists has a street named after him or her, give us a call and let us know what you think about that. The next thing we were really talking about is everybody's got the little song out. And how does it go, bro? I'm living my best.
Living my best life.
Living your best life.
Yeah.
And
going back and forward.
When we sit back and we say living our best life, really, what is that? Is living your best life because you are, I don't know, when I say living your best life, what is your self-growth and your worth? You know what I'm saying? Are you excluding or including people that are non or should be beneficial to you? We wanted to sit back and send a shout out to Miss Willa. She's one of the few sisters in the community that still have a Black-owned bookstore here in Kansas City. We want to say thank you, Miss Willa, for allowing us to come in, speak with you, talk to you the way that we did. And I think what really touched us is when we spoke to her, and like I told you today on the phone, when we saw her rise up and, greet us, instantly she just had the face and the look of where we came from. Our grandma, our auntie, I saw so much in her face. And when she warmed up to us, it just seemed like she was one of those individuals, man, that we could just sit down and talk to her all day long. Right. Over 70 plus years or whatever, she just had so much information that she could be able to share and give with us. And, I want people to understand that when you live your best life, it's not from the things that you can include or exclude. It's all about your spirituality. It's truly about your spirituality. And I think as we get older, that's what we should more focus on than anything is our spirituality. Where is our spirituality? Because when you have a deep sense of your spirituality, it allows you not only to be able to love yourself, but to also receive and extend love. And some people take the living my best life as a way to just say, F all y'all. What did you say today, bro? I'm just doing me. What did you say?
I mean, I guess we were talking about what does that really mean? And I'd say it's probably a more updated version of doing me. You know, we like to find out where the wave is at, you know. And so doing me is, you know, that was, everybody caught a hold of that. Now grandma say doing me. And so, but living my best life is one that I think has had great commercial appeal. It has been like too legit to quit. You know, when Hammer used to put the expressions out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so everybody can relate to, there comes a time when you have to tell people, mind your own business. I think that's, you know, I get a spirit of that when I hear, you know, living my best life. But it's also saying, I'm not going to waste time, because he literally says that. I'm not going to waste time with people who ain't worth it.
And so, but is that including the people not worth it? Who do you think that is? Is that family members?
That's where
where
it can become a deceptive statement or a deceptive movement. You know, that's where it can be. But, you know, what do they say about money? It only makes you more of what you are. You know, I wonder, is empowerment like that? Where true empowerment only make us more of what we already are? And does that lend to the truest, knowing our truest self and being at peace with that, going back to living my best life on my worst mistake? Could you have consequences that some may call mistakes, but to another, I'm not calling it a mistake. This is part of my best life. I'm rolling with the consequences in the fanfare.
But if we've struggled so much through violence, negligence, molestations within the family, the loss of loved ones, anger. You know how we said a lot of people are pretty much struggling with PTSD. You know, it's just not soldiers and people that go to war and come back. A lot of us are so severely damaged by just growing up throughout the battlefields of our homes. You know what I'm saying? And when we really sit back, a lot of us, including myself, we still struggle with the PTSD. And that's, you know, the post syndrome of what we said, the cocaine and what the crack epidemic did to us. You know, and as we was talking, and I was telling you about some information and stuff that I share close to my heart. You know, it's when you have a family member or someone that has a drug addiction problem, you're fighting that drug addiction with them. And when I say that, if it's a mother or a father or auntie or sister or brother or whatever, you know, because we are human beings, and if we aren't so angry and so evil and uptight at these people, I guess, you know, I'm very good about making scenarios or whatever. So it's just like, how many times does a father have to tell the child, I'm going to come through and pick you up and we're going to hang this weekend? And he just is constantly left hanging. You know, he don't show up again. You know, your mama got to say, come on in. And but you know, as a child, you can talk to him later that week and he can tell you the same thing. And I guess it's a short-term memory, but you set yourself up to go through that again and again until one day you finally get to a point where you kind of just, I don't know, either if you do, you do, if you don't, you don't, or you just don't even care in general. And it's the same thing about family members. After we watch them go through their fights and we've tried to make an effort into helping them out and push them through things, only to see them over and over again and just relapse and break down. When do we really get to a point to where we just wash our hands and we're done with them? Because what I've come to realize, and I forgot where I heard it from, but it was a real powerful saying, that a person never shakes their drug addiction until they hit the ground. Now, I know that there are some individuals that have it, you know, like Chris Carter, the football analyst, he can break it down to the last day, the minute and the hour of how long he's been clean and sober. But even he said, it's always around the corner. It's always right there. And he said, I don't think it's anything that you will ever be able to shake until they close that casket and shovel that first scoop of dirt on you to cover you up. Then it may be done. And even if that is so, and that's the case, look at how much pain has been caused through the mistakes and of that poison when it affected us. And I want our people to understand that is something that is just, it's not something that you can just sweep up under the rug and we can forget. You know, even just speaking to the lady that we spoke to this weekend at the bookstore, you know, how so many people had to step in and take over responsibilities for their children.
Mm-hmm.
But they did it because, like we see in the NFL, football is the next man up. So when our mothers and fathers weren't there, the next individuals in our family had to step up and help us. But when you really sit down and talk to individuals, if you can really get them to open up to you and talk to you, man, can you just imagine, bro, just the years, months, and days of pain so much of us have suffered from and are still suffering from today?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's why the drug industry is able to thrive, because of the various forms of responding to pain and discomfort, you know. So, but, you know, that goes back to living your best life. And I think I want to tie in MLK Boulevard replacing Paseo is, you know, some people we're at a place to where we're wondering, why aren't people more concerned about the things that we're concerned about? At some point, let's just go with one we all learned in 8th grade, you know, or 9th grade, when you learned that there were a few pilgrims who got upset because they were being taxed on their teeth. They were being taxed on things that they didn't agree with. So, you know, eventually some of them got together, but they knew they couldn't do it in front of everybody. But it got to a day to where it was just this big explosion, and they started dumping stuff and fighting at the ports. So, but we're wondering, we're seeing all types of events, and we're like, how is there footage of some of the things that we get to see? Like, where's the human, where's the what we would assume to be normal response to aid a neighbor, aid someone who's down and out? But instead, you know, we're watching it for entertainment. So to some people, a street being changed doesn't mean anything. But for those who may have eyes to see or ears to hear, it might be a very loud and profound statement to them. But these are the doings of life. And there's even statements that these things haven't changed. The world has come to critical points, and people were eating and drinking and doing what they normally do. These are going to be the seasons. But I think what that meant to me was, in living my best life, it goes back to, you know, when, you know, you out there and you in the streets a little bit. And I can at least attest to this. You get into things and you start doing things, and your mind can get so in such a place to where you start looking at crazy stuff as a blessing. Like when in another mind, you might look at it as animalistic, predatory. But when you're in the mode of being out there and really taking part in what the world has to offer, you start seeing sometimes crazy stuff as a blessing. That at some point in time, it starts to be a residual that catches up with you. And then you got to look at jail time. Then you got to look at a consequence and a mistake that you made, maybe against someone else or someone made against you. And you have to ask yourself, did I want that consequence? In the pursuit of being me, doing me. And we have to say, is that what being me and doing me really means? Is that I'm taking liberty unapologetically for being selfish? Or is it a case of self-preservation? And this is why I go back to the mindset it's
So-
really hard to be judging out here, man.
Just to make sure that the listeners understand what you're saying,
Mhm.
break down both of those forms, because a lot of us, when we say we're doing me, actually that is a way of just saying I'm doing me and I'm not effing with nobody.
Okay.
And so yeah, so break both of those down, because and then also too, if we say self-preservation, that means, are you getting ready to stand up to make something better for the ones in your family household, or just, add your contribution to this generation? Go ahead and break those down for them that's listening.
All right. So we got 3 minutes, and so in 3 minutes, from my perspective and my experience, we have to allow people to live their lives, because how many of us are really, see, this is what I know this is going to turn some people off, but for me, I'm so imperfect that I need to look at somebody who walked it right. And that I've been told that Jesus walked it right. And when I start breaking down those examples, selflessness is a powerful trait. We need it from fathers. We need it from mothers. I watch my children, so I know among siblings, the sibling that can adopt selflessness first is going to bring much harmony and win themselves such a great opportunity if they have reasonable siblings, because they'll become the leader. They'll become the look at. This person, they'll hopefully become valuable, and those people will wise up that this selfless sibling is very valuable to us functioning. But selflessness is needed, but it's a very hard trait. It's a very hard way to exhibit and live life, because the fact of the matter is that self-preservation is our job too. And so for me, when I hear somebody saying they living their best life or they're going to do them, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're at a place mentally to where they've given as much as they possibly can, because it's an exhausting task. So that's what the layout for living your best life and doing me. I have to look at the people are making the best of it, of the opportunity
And so
in this tough world, man.
And so to come on the other piece, when we say something for self-preservation, and that's meaning getting up, doing for self, how many people do you really think, when they say that term, that it is for that?
Do for self?
Do for self.
Oh, we're about to head into it. There's been a
Because
nice statement. There's a nice statement here on the message board tonight that I want to go ahead and spring off of.
And let's
But we
acknowledge who sent that to us, so we can say hi
Sure.
and let them know that they'll be able to receive.
Well, LaWanda, we want to do something for you. You brought it to the table. Do you really know, or do you? But this is the one that got me. That you have to really know yourself to do you. That's what you said. You have to know yourself to do you.
What you mean? What I said?
That's what LaWanda, you said.
Okay.
You wanted to recognize one of our commenters.
Okay.
And that was what was stated. You have to know you to do you. I think that's a lot of food for thought. We'll be back in
just 1 minute.
All right. We're still streaming with that one. They can't hear you, but they can see you.
What'd you say?
They can still hear you with the YouTube one, but they can still see you, but they can't hear you. Because it's not on OBS. I can't turn it off. We're out on YouTube too tonight.
acknowledged here in the city as far as giving a street designated to him, his name, his cause and struggle. And then also too, what a lot of us mean when we tell our friends, our significant others, our family members, co-workers, whoever, that I'm living my best life. And as he was just saying a few minutes ago, one of the listeners stated on the boards that in order to live your best life or to do you, you must know who you are. And again, it goes back to being able to have a strong sense of spirituality amongst yourself. And what I mean by that is because when you proclaim to live your best life means that you are to a point to where the mistakes in the life you were living before you lived your best life are going to be made to a minimum, which means, I guess we go back to relationships, no more abusive relationships. Making sure you're bringing people in your homes that have you and your family and your children's best interests at heart. I don't know, making sure that you can step up to the plate and own and control some of the mistakes that we have caused ourselves. You know what I mean? It almost goes back to the resolutions that a lot of us make on the 1st of January. And I wonder how many people are still living close to their resolutions that they made 28 days ago. So when we sit back and we say the part of doing me and living the best life for self-preservation, let's look at a few minutes ago what was the biggest buzz in the world was the government shutdown. And so many people are worried about the government being shut down. But you're not worried about the government being shut down for the right reason. You're worried about the reason because you want to make sure you're going to get your income tax check to go get your car, go buy you some tennis shoes, and you know how everybody does when they get their little change. What we need to start looking at in a bigger sense is all your welfare and your food stamps. And you remember, a lot of our listeners has been listening to us since day one. For the biggest trap that they ever gave us was welfare. Because when you look at the word welfare and you turn that word around and say it's fair or well, and that's what the clown we have in office is basically trying to get rid of. Any subsidiary that is going to allow help and aid to any of the less fortunate. It's not even just minorities no more. It's the less fortunate, which that's making up a big part of the United States. And so a lot of people don't remember when he was almost sometime last year. Remember when he said that he wanted to introduce a plan to take away the food stamps, EBT cards, and all that type of stuff, and be able to prepare a box.
Right. That was when he first came in. Yeah.
Which would be, I mean, the only other way we can stay at a ration, which would be a ration.
Right.
So therefore, they want to break it down to a science to where they can give you enough food or give you what they're supposed to say that you can survive on from month to month. Hold on, I think we got a call. And who is this?
LaWanda Clark.
Yes, we have LaWanda Clark online.
Yes, you do. And I wanted to comment on the comment that I made online that says you have to know you in order to do you. A lot of people nowadays use that so loosely. Well, I'm doing me. And so many of us don't even know who we are, really. You know, we're modeling ourselves after something we've seen or something we've heard or something somebody else saw day and night, instead of taking a look inside of our own self and face ourselves for what we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we all have it.
We all.
I think when you really begin to live your best life, that's when you become free. That's when when you know peace and you know how valuable peace is, and you're willing to go to any length to guard that peace. You know, like Warren said earlier, I mean, monitoring small things, well, things you think are small, like who comes in your place, who comes into your home, what spirits you're bringing in conversations that you take part in. You know, we have to be mindful of the things that we let go into our mind. You know, they say mind is a terrible thing to waste, and it is. And a lot of the conversations that we get into, a lot of the music that we listen to, a lot of the things that we feed into our brain are wasting time. And time is something we can never get back. We can never recreate it. Once it's gone, it's gone. But I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there, but I'm not going to take up the rest of the of your time.
Well,
But thank you for letting me share.
Hey, thank you very much for calling, and we do appreciate and value, and we will piggyback off of that. Thank you very much. So, what she was saying, and I'll try to reiterate best I can, is being able to know who you are. And you know, we can go so many ways with knowing who you are. And we'll leave that for another, because that's about an hour or a 2-week thing, if you ask me. But again, what do you partake in on a daily basis? You know, sometimes it don't even have to be the people you talk to. It's what are you soaking in mentally on a 24-hour, 7-day week? Are you consumed with sports and sport and play? Are you consumed with the pornography on computers? Are you consumed with making sure you are smoking and drinking the best that is available? Are you consumed about having yourself and your life ran roughshod through all the dates and things that you're doing on dating sites? Are you worried about making sure that you are, you know, when we say something is spiritual, let's take a look at this for a lot of our older listeners that are from our generation. And I always ask a lot of people this. The people that we truly miss, or if we ever, I mean, it's getting to a point where we're so busy doing me and living our best life that we don't even pay homage really to the ones that were before us. You know, I mean, sometimes to give a thanks and a missing and just speak to some of our good people that we've lost. And I asked the question a long time ago. If a lot of people include, and we always say grandma, because grandma is a very, 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 very intricate part of the majority of our families. But let's say grandma, uncle, maybe sisters and brothers. If you could speak to one of these individuals, would they honestly look us in the eye and say how we're living our life and what we're doing to upgrade and uplift our family? Would they really be proud of us? And just to know that some of us came from a time when love was felt. Love was felt because there weren't a lot of things given. You know, love was felt through the sharing of a meal, the sharing of just going outside, eating your popsicle, and everybody in your neighborhood knew your name. Every hug that you got from school teachers that truly wanted to watch you grow up and be the best individual and young Black person that you could be. Love was felt. And when we sit back down, we really pay attention. When is the last time that a lot of us have really felt love? And what do we give to these young ones that are coming up? You know, I know my sons, every time I talk about the old school, they always like, here, Dad, go, here you go. But it is something that if a lot of people had one wish, what would you wish for? And sometimes, honestly, I really wish that I could take my children, my nieces, and my nephews back in time to one summer to let them see their grandma, to let them see what a hug and a real kiss, to let them see what family time was really about on holidays. You know, to let them see to where you had somebody love you so much that no matter how much you tried to lie, she could get the truth out of you, but paid so much attention to not just you, but her children, that she was always in tune of everything that was going on in the community and in the home. It used to be times, man, we would lay down and we would be in the room talking, and we cut the TV off like, man, how do you think she knew? How do you think she knew that? And it wasn't until we got older for us to realize, but for you to go in and jump on what Mama said about knowing who you are. What does that mean to you? To do the best, to be the best or live the best life you can be. Do you think a lot of people really know who they are?
I'd say where I'm growing to now is being at peace with my consequences. So let's just say that I really become a real concentration of love. I like what was stated here, love is an action. So in the case of love is an action, and I'm very intentional and very disciplined about how I express love. I'm gentle, patient, I'm kind, and we know love doesn't fail. We know it doesn't fail. So you have this expression of oneself to those around me. And but it really isn't me. Is that, I mean, I guess when is that set up for when I'm going to be selfish and the true me is going to come out? Or does everybody have that love capacity in them? Does everyone have the same breadth and depth of love within them? Can some have more of an ability to love than others? And if we really start getting on our God stuff, because we want to be like the God in body. We want to be like them. They call it Christian. So if that's your thing, you want to be like that. But so I hear a moral stance. Like, do you have the ability to have love? Knowing yourself. When you say knowing yourself, I don't hear morality. I hear knowing who you are and you having a peace with the consequences. Having a peace with the consequences. Me personally, I don't believe hell is fit for a person. I don't believe hell is fit for a person, but it is fit for a devil. So
say it one more time.
Well, hell is not built for a person. Hell is, so even if we don't really get into the biblical thing like that, right? What is torment? What is torment to a devil? Peace, righteousness, justice. These things are torment to a devil. Harmony, balance. These things. So if an individual is on their devil, they cool when the heat starts heating up and when the chaos starts ensuing, when death starts to stack up. They living their best life.
So you saying when we all on that party train of life that me and you talk about all the time,
yeah.
Everybody's partying, drinking, doing their best self and being their best who they can be and whatever. They not paying attention to who the conductor or the driver of this train is, and they're not even paying attention that it's a hole up ahead and everybody's getting ready to go down in it. But what you said is tight though, is because it's not fit for a human being, but it is fit for a devil. And when you just said being on their devil, you see what I'm saying?
That's the square.
That's your square. And sometimes being on your devil is your thoughts. It's your thoughts. We was always taught that your thoughts can condemn you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes throughout the day, how much do we spend having bad thoughts or who we hate,
Okay.
who we felt has done something bad to us and we can't stand. A co-worker, somebody that you really can't stand, a family member that even though they did some things to us when we was younger, till this day, if you catch us in the right state of mind, we think about that, how much we hate them because we feel he or she hasn't said or told me or apologized or did what I want them to do the way I want it to do, that it still consumes and it's eating us. It's still eating us. You see what I'm saying? And so when you sit back and you say, so basically you said everything that was supposed to be of a heaven's nature would be torment to the devil. And
Yeah.
again, you said it was peace, balance.
I mean, we're talking about all those attributes to where they're conducive to peace. Sister called and mentioned peace. And so when you talk about a community, when you talk about a soul that has peace, that's very different that is conflicted with chaos and with disharmony. And now you talked about how we want to feed ourselves. Now, so if we're being true to ourselves and we doing us, now a devil is not tripping when it's hot, when it's chaotic. Now, but someone who is overwhelmed, let's just be real, that exists, man. It exists where people are overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed with this life. So, and yes, we know that in that situation, you subject to more clever tricks from devils.
And
right?
so are you taking it one step further to say, for instance, some of us that have been so mistreated and done wrong for so long, that anything that seems in a sense of good comes into us, we try to fight and resist that. And it even goes back to what I say. Most people say that they want to change and they want different, but in reality, you only want what you're used to.
Right. So now that's where we get to doing us and being true, because are you making a proclamation to say, no longer will I settle for it? No longer am I having less than my best, because it's me, I'm on the pursuit of my best. No longer am I having less than. So this is an empowering situation. But what if it's an admission of being a devil and saying my best is going out here eating off of people and vampire and parasitic and taking care of business? I would assume in the world of balance, in the world of justice, if that's you, if you cool with that and you willing, but I think what we're dealing with most of the time is hypocrisy within ourselves and around us. We're at a place to where we need to be humble because we are not rocking as a creator. Now, is there levels to this? I guess that's what I'm trying to articulate. That if we're in a hypocritical, which I sometimes get myself in a I'm going to be honest. I want to move to a different realm. But when I talk about fear being a hurdle to a different realm, it's real. And I have to say, I'm no more exceptional of a human than other people. I mean, I think I got my lane. I think I got a best life for me there. But I think things that challenge me also challenge other people. And when we're talking about getting ourselves ready to move to a next realm, that's us being at peace with the consequences that are going to come from our actions. So let's say I want to be a God body. I want to be a body to where the God spirit can live in. And not only that, takes joy in residing there because of the thoughts that are able to cycle through me, because of the actions and the consequences of those righteous actions. That comes with the consequences, because we living in a world, decidedly, I think we all understand, is ran by devils and devilish behavior. It is. That is that there is a place for you to experience, to bask in all that is to be presented to those who adopt devilish behavior. Let me give you an example. If I get good at lying, It serves a purpose for me to be able to mobilize in some things, right? I would have to say that that starts to produce a fork, even if you don't want it to, it starts to produce a forked tongue if you get good at lying. And that forked tongue has a characteristic that it starts to mature and create. And we go back to that devil. See, so we all have the struggle with carnality. We all, because we're flesh and beings. Let's just look at the word carnia. It has, you have to say it has a Latin root, which we know carnia in Latin, in Mexican, in Spanish is meat. So we all deal with the body and what the body says it wants, which is ultimately peace. But do I want to be one who gains peace from chaos and from feeding off of people's life? Or do I want to be one that gives life? And I think love is the greatest term to that.
Or the opposite to that peace is pleasure. See, a lot of us, when we say we want to pick up this thing and I'm going to do me, what doing me means I'm doing what I want to do. And I'm going to partake in the what and who I want to partake in. And it's me. If you don't like what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. See, sometimes you got to understand the opposite of that word peace comes pleasure. And a lot of us,
I've never heard it put like that, but I want to hear some, because I know we're running out of time, but that's heavy because I get it when you say it.
well, because the thing of it is, a lot of us, when you say we accept our consequence, well, for a lot of our male listeners that are listening to, you know, that are hustling in these streets, we have to understand that, hey, when it went, not they, but when it comes for us, regardless whether it's death or jail, are we able to accept the consequence? You see what I'm saying? Are we able to accept the consequences of all our actions? And it's not just for hustling. It's for the workplace. It's for the divorces that some of us are on or getting ready to go through. There are some big consequences. And once you make that decision to choose whatever you feel is going to be satisfying to your soul as a pleasure for that situation, are you ready to accept the consequence that comes with it? And I mean, it might be something that we can speak on next week, but there is an opposite of peace. And I think a lot of our downfalls and problems and struggles and stuff that we have had is because of what we allow to be pleasurous to us.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of us are in situations because a lot of us choose that feel good, not that real good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Real good.
Yeah, it's time for us to get ready to close, and hopefully we can look at our board later this evening.
Man, I say we go ahead. I'm inspired right now because you know what you just said. Real good. Real, because listen, and I'm certain that it is tough to find a good thing on this earth. Right?
Man.
We know that it's tough to find a good thing on this earth. So when it is imperative, and how many of us humans see a wolf when it's born? We've talked about this. It only takes a month for that bad boy to be able to identify good water for itself, for it to be able to identify good food based off of all its senses. Its brain is ready to go into instinct mode right away and survive. But a human being, it takes near 12 years to get that bad boy to where it can go in the kitchen and figure out something that's good and decipher what's good for it, what's not. When something falls on the ground, when something is, to make those kind of decisions, it takes near 12 years for a human being. And then it says 27 years for the brain to fully become developed. This is according to psychological and brain study analysis. We know that the human brain has an incredible it takes a long time to mature. But how long does it take for us to realize what is real good?
Well, and what we'll do here is for the show next week, do you want that feel good or real good? I want to give a shout out to all of our team members here at KUAW, all the shows, all the people, Inkwell and so on. Give a big shout out to Mr. Walker. We all are a family here at KUAW 98.5, 816-599-6893. And please listen to a lot of our other shows. There's something to be gained from every individual that gives you a time or an hour out of their life and schedule. We also want to say thank you to Ms. Willer again for allowing us to speak with you and to have so many great books, and just maybe go by and speak to her sometime here in Kansas City. Just look up her information, Willer's Bookstore, And we want to say thank you very much. And until we talk to you next Monday, 6 to 7, remember, if you don't feel like anybody loves you, Old School does.
All right.
Tell them, Mr. Walker, they want that feel good.
Yeah, good.